stole his first term as president. These absolute liars who run around trying to act like they're the protectors of democracy completely ruined it, tried to undermine it at every turn and at the highest levels with lies, with out-and-out lies that were really serious, and changed foreign policy and changed the course of history in this country in Trump's presidency. And there must be accountability. There has to be actual criminal accountability for those who lied. And I can't wait to see this administration do it.
When Megyn Kelly decided to talk about Barack Obama, she didn't just say bad things about him. She broke down his nice, clean image piece by piece. She was really good at showing when politicians were just putting on a show. She turned his reputation into a story about mischances, having a big ego, and the news media loving him too much. This wasn't a nice disagreement. It was like tearing down all the stories people told about him, leaving only uncomfortable truths and broken talking points behind.
There was one presidential daily brief that was about to go to Obama in December of 2016 saying, the Russians, they didn't succeed in interfering in any meaningful way in our election. They did not hack voting machines, and it was going to downplay Russian interference. And then they stopped the presses. Obama interfered and said, hold on. And there was a memo saying, per the president's directive, and they're going in a new direction. Lo and behold, what happened next was we're going to do a new assessment and we're going to see what Russian interference was. Immediately, the media started reporting, it was huge. They interfered in everything. They tried to help.
Barack Obama being president was like a TV show with a really good first episode, lots of smooth talking, and an ending that made people wonder if the writers gave up halfway through. Season 2. Megyn Kelly wouldn't have to look very hard to find things to criticize. Obama's time as president has enough twists, mistakes, and awkward moments to keep comedians busy making jokes for years. He said he was the cool, calm person who would save American politics. But underneath all the fancy speeches and movie-like drone camera shots, the truth was less like a superhero story and more like an expensive Netflix show that wasn't very good.
So while Andy and others are zeroing in on the notion that before they sat with Obama, they were going to tell him, no attempts to hack our election infrastructure. And Andy will later argue, them later coming out and saying, but lots of attempts to interfere in the election in general, and totally to help Donald Trump. He's saying that's Apple.
If you liked this video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button. Obama became president when people had so much hope it could have powered all of California's electricity for 10 years. People expected him to completely change politics. Instead, they got someone who was really good at marketing himself. He had lots of catchy sayings but didn't deliver much. It was like ordering a fancy steak dinner and getting a kale smoothie instead. Technically, it's food, but not what you ordered. And Megyn would have no trouble showing how his carefully created image hit a presidency that was stuck in political mess, just like the ones before it.
We'll be remiss if we do not do at least one clip from the Barack Michelle Obama appearance podcast, because everybody thinks they're getting a divorce, and let's face it, they probably are. She dragged him onto her show with brother Craig, and the following took place. Here's how it started in SOT 36.
Barack Obama, can you join us on?
Come on out here, bro.
Welcome to I Am Look at you.
Wait.
Look at the Affordable Care Act, his most important law. On paper, it sounded like a policy that would give you a warm hug, cheap health insurance for everyone. In real life, it was more like being hugged by someone who spills coffee on you and then asks you to tip them. Millions of people had to figure out confusing websites, punishments for not having insurance, and higher costs, all while being told this was the best government could do. The launch of healthcare.gov had so many computer problems, it could have been a comedy show, except the joke was taxpayer money disappearing into a computer black hole.
Go back to that day 10 years ago, what I think binds it together, all these different strands, a case upholding healthcare, a case declaring same-sex marriage part of our constitutional protections, mourning. I think what pulls it all together is that no one person did any of it.
So he's sitting around on a June Thursday thinking about himself and his glory days.
And then there was his foreign policy. This was the part where Obama pretended to be someone who didn't want to fight wars, the man who would bring in a time of talking instead of fighting. But somehow, the drone program got much bigger while he was president. turning parts of the Middle East into real-life video game maps. His team would talk endlessly about precise attacks and surgical operations. But the reality often looked much messier, especially to the regular people who got hurt. Megyn would make fun of that contradiction until it burned. How could someone who won a Nobel Peace Prize be in charge of military plans that killed more people than some of the leaders he used to criticize?
Seeing how that other lie got pushed out there by Brennan at Obama's direction, and we're seeing what Brennan used to push the lie. One was field dossier, which this points out as it fell apart, and the guy went to him, CIA analyst, to say, it's fallen apart. We can't use this. He said, yes, but doesn't it?
His handling of Syria was like a lesson in being too careful and slow. He drew a red line about using chemical weapons, then watched as that line got smudged, erased, and redrawn with disappearing ink. It sent the message that America's promises, under his leadership, could be changed. It was like a choose-your-own-adventure way of doing diplomacy that left allies confused and enemies feeling braver. Meanwhile, Russia decided to march into Crimea, and the Obama team responded with punishments. So weak, they might as well have been passive-aggressive greeting cards. At home, his economic record became like an inkblot test. Supporters saw slow but steady recovery from the 2008 crash, while critics saw a time of wages that didn't grow, exploding debt, and a Federal Reserve printing money like it was playing a Monopoly game. The irony writes itself. The man who campaigned on bringing people together and making changes accidentally helped create the conditions for the most divisive political time in modern history.
The truth is, if you add it all up, even the year, if the odds were you're going to be married to your partner for 50 years, and 10 of those years could be bad, that
you'd sign up for it.
You'd sign up for it.
You'd sign.
Right. And that's really how it works out.
Is it, Michelle? It's not. I've been married for 17 and a half years, and not one was bad. I think she and he married.
And let's not forget about government spying. You'd think a lawyer who studied the Constitution might have some problems with expanding government spy programs. But under Obama, the NSA's reach grew like it had just discovered supervitamins. Edward Snowden's revelations showed just how comfortable the administration had become with collecting information on American citizens, all while selling the idea that this was for their own good. Megyn would have had a great time pointing out how the same man who talked about being transparent ran one of the most secretive governments in decades, going after whistleblowers with an enthusiasm that made even some of his predecessors look gentle. Then there's this celebrity thing. Obama loved being the star of the show. Late-night talk shows, March Madness, basketball brackets, viral videos. There's a reason Megyn could make a running joke about how the man seemed more comfortable making fun of his opponents at the White House Correspondents' Dinner than making deals with both political parties on Capitol Hill. The point that he was determined to help Trump and get Trump elected was a political attack that they then leaked to the news media right away, as you pointed out the other day, before the homework assignment was even finished. In other words, Obama said, go back and change your report. They had leaked to the media what the conclusion would be before it was done. They had one goal and one goal only, which was to hurt Trump.
Aspirational point that he was determined to help Trump and get Trump elected was a political hit job that they then leaked to the media immediately, as you pointed out the other day, that before the homework assignment was even completed. In other words, Obama said, go back and change your report. They had leaked to the media what the conclusion of it would be. They had one goal and one goal only, which was to undermine Trump.
Even his much-praised diplomacy had its blind spots. The Iran nuclear deal was celebrated as a big win for negotiation, but critics said it was a short-term fix for a long-term problem, one that gave Iran a way to look legitimate without fixing the deeper problems. Cuba's diplomatic warming was another headline that looked good in photos but left plenty of questions about what the U.S. actually got back. In both cases, the pictures looked perfect, but what actually happened was questionable. Classic Obama. His speeches were often praised, but the real policy changes were disappointing, leaving both sides of the argument feeling unheard. Megyn could cut right through that contradiction. How could someone so good at speaking to the nation struggle so much to bring its different sides together? And through it all, the news media often treated him like a magical political creature, immune to the same level of harsh questioning other leaders faced. Scandals like the IRS targeting controversy, the VA hospital disaster, and the Benghazi attack got plenty of news coverage, but rarely stuck to him the same way they would have to a less media-smart president.
Speaking of Barack Obama, he decided to drop a post on X today, and I thought, okay, maybe in the wake of the Pete Hegseth presser, he's going to say something like, no matter how you feel about the Iranian strike, hats off to our, boys in blue, our guys in the bombers. He went a different way this is what it was.
Curious how you're thinking about this eulogy, strictly in the moment, and all the tensions that you just brought out.
I didn't even want to talk. I was so mad. Part of the reason I think I ended up having anything to say at that moment was when I heard some of the victims' families forgive the shooter. And I thought, all right, let's see if maybe this is a way America can.
His gift for avoiding criticism was unmatched. He could change from a tough question to a charming story faster than most people can say change we can believe in. By the time he left office, the difference between the inspiring words of his campaign and the messy reality of his time as president was impossible to ignore. The man who promised to heal the nation left behind a political landscape even more broken than the one he inherited. His fans remember the hope and the historic symbolism. His critics remember the missed opportunities and the contradictions. The Obama presidency was a masterclass in branding, a carefully staged production that kept audiences interested even when the script was falling apart. And like any good production, it ended with the star taking a bow, confident that the applause meant the story had been a triumph, even if half the audience left the theater wondering what they just watched.
At that point, a meeting was held. It was called and held, including all of Obama's top people, all of them. And they had a big meeting on this. And the next day, things changed dramatically on the Russia narrative, and changed in a way that would support the Russia allegations that would go on to undermine the entire first term of Donald.
Because in the end, Barack Obama's political legacy is a contradiction. The man who made Americans believe in big change delivered small tweaks. The man who promised unity left deeper divides. And the man who campaigned against endless war became one of its quietest supporters. It's the kind of legacy that needs more than just analysis. It needs a roast, the kind that peels back the polish and lets the contradictions shine for what they are. And judging by how much material is still available, this roast isn't anywhere close to finished. Barack Obama's post-presidency has become less about dignity and more about perfecting the art of promoting himself disguised as public service. And every time he steps onto a stage, he acts like the world is still waiting for his next big policy breakthrough, when in reality, it's just another pre-packaged story with dramatic pauses designed to keep his audience nodding.
More fuel on the fire that there's a potential, maybe a divorce or some sort of rockiness going on in the Obamas' relationship. They both posted these mirrored, very choreographed Valentine's Day messages on X, but he was just seen at an LA, it's the basketball team. What's it called? I can't remember the name. The Clippers, thank you. Game without her. And the LA Clippers. And then with Steve Ballmer, who's the owner, he's been on this show. And then on Tuesday, he was spotted eating out at a fancy dinner in Sherman Oaks with his both daughters, Malia and Sasha, but again, no Michelle, according to TMZ.
The carefully created public image is so polished that it's lost any trace of being real. This isn't a leader thinking about how complicated governing is. This is a brand ambassador selling a lifestyle. He's mastered the influencer formula. Sprinkle a little moral outrage, add a dash of inspirational buzzwords, and finish it off with a good-looking backdrop. The result is a career that feels less like being a statesman and more like a lifestyle blog with a global reach. At home, his signature achievements are a patchwork of compromises that don't fully please anyone, yet are still marketed as huge victories. It's like the political version of a fast food sandwich, heavily advertised, mildly satisfying, and gone before you know it. The irony is that his public comments now are often aimed at criticizing dysfunction in government, as if he wasn't a main character in that very play for 8 years.
She's on the record. They can pretend all they want that it's just tabloid fodder that has led people to think they're on the outs. That oh yes, he appeared without her, here or there, and people, no. Okay, first of all, she didn't go to Trump inauguration. She didn't go to the Jimmy Carter funeral. He's been spotted out at basketball games, out to dinner with their daughters repeatedly without her. You'd be hard-pressed to find a recent picture of the two of them.
He talks about division like an innocent bystander, conveniently skipping over the fact that his own time as president deepened ideological trenches. It's a clever act. Play the wise elder while pretending the mess has nothing to do with you, and the media laps it up like he's delivering prophecy from a mountaintop. But perhaps the most lasting feature of the Obama brand is how it thrives on selective memory. Supporters are encouraged to remember the speeches, the cool factor, the magazine covers, but not the disappointments. It's nostalgia wrapped in marketing, where every flaw is rebranded as a lesson and every shortcoming as something that couldn't be avoided. In the process, he's become untouchable to his supporters, a figure more myth than man. Even as the historical record grows more complicated, strip away the imagery and what remains is a record filled with half measures, safe choices, and a knack for staying above the fight while keeping his fingerprints just light enough to avoid blame.